Hey gang, Jones here, back with another video here today. And today's video is going to be a little bit different. We're going to talk about how it seems we are headed into the extraction shooter wave, much like the BR wave that took place back in 2015 with the start of H1Z1. And then obviously there was an armor mod and other things took place. And then PUBG got a hold of it. And then Fortnite, everything blew up at the start of 2015 with like the BR rage. And I'm thinking we're starting to see that with the extraction shooter genre. And that excites me just because how much I enjoy extraction shooters. So let's get into it. So for a while now, Tarkov has kind of been the quote-unquote king of like extraction shooters, all the way back in their closed alpha, like August of 2016, I believe. And then the game originally, I didn't play it from the start, but I believe that Factory was their first map. And then, to what it is today, it's a widely popular quote-unquote king of extraction shooters and where a lot of people get inspiration from. And they saw this and said, hey, I want a piece of the pie. So that's kind of where it all started with Tarkov. Obviously, I know there's other games that took place before that, but Tarkov is the quote-unquote king of extraction shooters, and they kind of led the drive to making all these games that we have now. And we've seen several of these extraction shooters come out. I think the only one, at least in my opinion, that tried to rival or is trying to rival Tarkov in any way, shape, or form is ABI, or Arena Breakout Infinite. It's because the game, no game will ever feel like Tarkov, like exactly the feeling you get with the highs and lows and the adrenaline. I don't think any game will ever mimic that like Tarkov does, because it does it so well and it makes you feel. Which, as us as gamers, we like to feel. That's why we play games. We want to feel a certain way when we win or lose or get something, get a new loot box, whatever it may be, and we just want to feel. And I think ABI is the first game that actually goes in and tries to mimic that, just based on their inventory system, the gunplay, the maps, the way loot is and scattered around. It's just, I feel like it's the direct competitor. Like, they want to go after Tarkov specific customers and their approach to that. Now let's talk about some games that we've seen and have failed from trying to get a piece of this pie. Now, we've seen several games come into the genre and just fail miserably or not do very well. And there was actually a meme posted about this, about several games coming in. And you have like Hazard Zone from Battlefield that came in like these AAA studios, and it just failed miserably. If you want to call it an extraction shooter, I don't really know if you can even call it that. It was just bad. And then you had, Activision's take with DMZ, and it just lacked a lot of quality of life stuff. The stash was miserable. It was just not very good at all, and it fell flat on its face. And then you have like the Marauders the day before, which the day before was just a straight up scam. And then you have the Cycle Frontier, and all of these games are completely dead or gone or are lacking a player base. Now, I did see the recent update from Marauders, and it seemed to spike players a little bit. So they are still, there, but they're not flourishing like maybe some of these other games that I'm going to mention later on could be. So looking out there now, there's a bunch of games that are a lot of options for people to get into extraction shooters, or at least some type of game that resembles the feeling of like fight or flight mentality, like that, I've got to live to keep this, and if I die, I don't, or if I kill you, I can take yours. Like that mentality, there's a lot of different options coming out with several different games, and there's their hardcore ones, and there's kind of the in between, and then there's more casual. So like there's a lot of different options for people to dip their toes into the extraction shooter, and I see a lot of people coming out with even new ones. I mean, you've seen ones that are single player, like Red River. Like, there's just so many different options, and it's starting to build this wave, I think. And I'm extremely excited for it, because these games are just competition is just gonna breed better and better games. Like, they're going to come out, they're going to critique it, and then somebody, some company that might be making one, and it takes them a couple years to be like, oh, they didn't like this, let's hopefully try this. I know it probably won't come from AAA studios, but it definitely could from the indie studios. So the first one I'm going to talk about is Gray Zone Warfare. Obviously, I make a bunch of content for Gray Zone Warfare, and it took the first massive step after big controversy from Tarkov. And it is an extraction shooter, but it's not, because you don't like go into a map and then leave. You're always on the map. Now, after the Undead controversy with Tarkov, Gray Zone came out, and people were saying that they released the game too early and whatnot. And they have come out and said, I mean, I've seen places that they said they needed money. So I don't think they necessarily release the game to capitalize on Tarkov's mistake. I don't believe that's the case, because I don't think that game even is trying to compete with Tarkov. They're their own type of game. Like, it's an extraction game, but it's not, because you're always in the map, living in the world. Now, obviously, I think they released the game too early, but like I said, there was probably a deadline with paying people and whatnot, so they needed the money for funding for the next several years for the game. The player count has struggled for a while, and I just believe it stems from people waiting for the first content update. But it's a very, very good game. If you want to look at it, interested, I think you can definitely get $35 worth of game, but it definitely needs help with its AI, optimization, and transportation system. And then the depth of some of the quests and just the depth of the game in general is kind of shallow right now. But with the update coming in probably October, November, somewhere around there with day and night cycle, it should bump things up. And it is a very, very fun game to play. Another game that just came out in the genre is Delta Force Hawk Ops. Now, it's not strictly just an extraction shooter. Actually, there's a ton of people that just love their quote-unquote Battlefield mode. And people are saying that it's going to take over Battlefield because it's just so much better than Battlefield itself. There have been people that come out on Twitter and they've been very vocal about that point. But I'm just going to talk about their extraction shooter mode, which I love. I think it's done very, very well. It's very casual, arcadey experience, but it's still hardcore enough to give you fear and, you feel something when you die or you kill someone in the game. It is extremely, extremely fun. I think it hardcore enough to where, you're willing to take steps to think about what you're doing, but it's not where you have to have a full-time job and play it every single day to get like some massive advantage. It honestly, in my opinion, is what DMZ should have been. I think it is the perfect game that DMZ should have been. It does it very well. Their inventory system's very well done. The economy is very well done. They have a hideout or a black site, whatever you want to call it. And the maps, to me, are pretty good. And it shows you so many quality of life things. There's no friendly fire. You can see teammates. You can open up a map. You can see the chests or crates on the map. You can do different objectives in the game. There's just a lot of hype, and they did a very, very good job. One of the only things that I've seen, and I've been very vocal about this too, and I know a lot of people have, is that they throw AI into the game. Whether it be their Battlefield mode or their extraction mode, I have played with bots on my team when I've been searching for a game. They have to get rid of them. There is nothing more frustrating in the world than playing with bots. Now, I've fought them, but I've had actual AI bot teammates, which it needs to go. Other than that, the game is pretty fleshed out, and for like an alpha, closed test, it is very well done. So I'm extremely excited to see where that goes. And I think it's a great option for people that want to get into extraction shooters but want to have a full-time job. It is a very friendly game that I think a lot of people can learn easily and then have fun with it and not feel like it's some like massive hill that they have to climb. Next up, we have Arena Breakout Infinite. And there are several people pushing back because of their pay to win or pay for convenience aspects, depending on who you ask. There's some people say pay to win or pay for convenience. And the game, it sucks because the game is so much fun. Like, I have fun playing it. I don't really worry about the pay to win too much. I think it ruins the economy of the game based on the fact that somebody can swipe a credit card and get gear. Kind of negates the fact of how the economy works. You can feel free to disagree with me. That is fine. It's not a solid fact. These are all opinions. But to me, I think it kind of ruins the economy of the game, and that ruins like the grind, the feeling of achievement, because somebody can just, swipe a credit card and get gear. Now, that doesn't come with skill. They can still swipe the credit card, and then I can still, hit them right in the face and then kill them one shot with the crap ammo and take their stuff. That not necessarily translates to skill, but it does give them an advantage because they can just use money to use better gear. So it's a very, pay for convenience, pay to win. It's a very, teeter-totter kind of subject, but the game is very well done. It seems like a lot like Tarkov, and it seems to keep coming after Tarkov customers. Like the feeling of the guns, the inventory system, the economy, the maps, the gloomy feel when you're on the map. It just feels a lot like Tarkov in itself. And then obviously, like I said before, BSG, it actually came after ABI because they said they copied assets. That was a whole deal. So the game does feel like Tarkov. It will never replicate Tarkov perfectly because I don't think any game ever will because it's so well done. But it has promise. I'm interested to see if they back down from the, pay to win currency aspect of the game. I think if they would just get rid of the pay to win currency, I think the game could flourish and do very, very well and just keep, it sucks about the secure containers paying for that. But I think if they just took away the currency, a lot of people would play it and enjoy it. Because I have so much fun playing the game. I just hate the fact that you can buy currency in the game. So we'll see if that lives up to the hype, because it has so much hype that they've ruined it with microtransactions because it was a mobile game first. So we'll see what happens there. I think if they got rid of that, the game would flourish no problem. I think it'd live side by side by Tarkov and do very, very well. Another type of extraction shooter, like I said, I'm going to mention a bunch of extraction shooters just talking about the hype. This is not like me hyping up the game. It's just me talking about the wave of all these different extraction shooters and being like, hey, this could be the new wave. So I want to talk about is Beautiful Light. And the game has a unique spin with the genre with the use of monsters or what they call anomalies. So it's a horror extraction shooter, which kind of strays away from like the main like milsim type aspect of those games. Obviously, you have Hunt Showdown that kind of is similar to that. So, it's not totally out of the norm because Hunt Showdown, is successful. People have been playing it for years. I have actually never played it just because I don't think I would enjoy it, but it is very similar to Hunt Showdown in the sense of like monsters. That's pretty much it. We don't know anything about the game. I'm just talking about strictly the monsters or the aspect of the game, like the scenario. Yeah, obviously it's not the Old West, but I'm just talking about monsters. That's it. There have been some clips released of the game. The game does look beautiful. And there's also, I'm going to leave a link down in the description. They also have a roadmap that they're showing of when they complete stuff and whatnot. The game looks beautiful, and a spin on like scabs being like monsters and stuff, and the environment attacking you is super, super cool. And the game is set to release, I believe, early 2025. I think before it was, they thought maybe they could get early access out this year in 2024, but I don't think that's the case now. They're going to release in early 2025. So that is a game to look forward to because it looks very, very cool. A little unique spin with the horror aspect of the game. And yeah, so that is a beautiful light. Now, don't crucify me for not saying every single one of these extraction shooters like Hunt Showdown, Level 0 Extraction, Lost Light, like all that stuff. Please do not come after me. I'm just mentioning ones that I've seen or take interest in. So please do not ridicule me for not mentioning every single extraction shooter that you might love, okay? They're all cool. They're all great. I'm so glad they're all coming out because I think, like I said, competition breeds great games and we need more of them. So we're going to talk about another AAA studio trying to throw their hat in the ring for the extraction genre, and that is Bungie's Marathon. Now, a lot of people have claimed the game will be dead on arrival as the rumors have circulated around about changing custom characters to a hero shooter. Now, Delta Force does this. They don't necessarily have like heroes specifically like different type. They're just people that can do certain things, but I think it does it very, very well, and I enjoy it a lot. I don't think it's overpowered at all, but I can understand people wanting to have their like custom character with their custom look and stuff like that. But it is Bungie and it is a AAA studio. And I mentioned the AAA studios that did like Hazard Zone and then DMZ, and they kind of fell flat on their face. I'm just hoping that they understand what their customers want, what the audience want before they release the game. We don't really know much about it outside the fact that, it's in a sci-fi setting and it's a, reversion of like the Marathon back from the 90s. So I don't know if it's going to have a campaign and the multiplayer extraction shooter mode, or it's just going to be, just the extraction shooter itself. But something to look forward to and keep tabs on. A lot of people say Bungie might be dead before it even comes out. We'll have to see about that. But I am excited because of the resources AAA studios provide. I'm just hoping that they can nail it when they do release the game. Then we have the quote-unquote king of extraction shooters, which is Escape from Tarkov. Tarkov is one of the most addicting games ever. I actually don't play it anymore, but I did play it religiously for a long time. It just does a good job. Like the adrenaline that you have in these fights when you're in Tarkov is unmatched. The feeling you get is just unmatched. The highs are so high and the lows are extremely low, but it's addicting in that way. Like you'll have a miserable time on the game one night or day. You'll wake up the next day and you'll be like, man, I can't wait to play again. It's a very, very weird experience. Anybody that does play Tarkov watching this video, I think can completely understand where I'm coming from when I say that. I'm interested to see how they bounce back. They did have a little bit of a bumpy road there with Unheard Edition coming out saying, hey guys, we need money, we need to do this. So at least Unheard Edition, then they had the $250 PvE mode to buy, everything with it, and then the PvE mode itself. I have had people that I've talked to played PvE, and they had said that it is very, very good. So that's a good sign to see. And then we've seen Nikita come out on Twitter and holding polls and communicating a little bit more with the community. So, the devs communicating with the community itself is nice to see, and I hope they do very well. And there is a wipe coming up on Tuesday. There's been new people, interested in the game just because of all the, even though it's bad press, it's still press. If people have like heard about it and be like, oh, Tarkov, blah, 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 blah. So I'd say there's gonna be a lot more people playing on this new wipe. Wipe's always fun. It's very, very intense. You want to try to get ahead of everybody. So you just like no life it. People call off work and do all kinds of crazy things like that. I've called off work for games, not people calling people crazy because of that. But it's just a very, very cool experience. So I'm interested to see if ABI does get rid of their in-game currency, which I don't think they will. But if they would, I think it really would give Tarkov a bunch of competition just because the games are similar in some aspects. And I think they try to mimic one another. Or I should say ABI tries to mimic Tarkov because Tarkov became Breakout. Anyway, so we'll see how Tarkov gets going after this new wipe. I think it will do very, very well. So ending this video here, I believe that we can have a lot of these games have success outside of Tarkov, and we could be headed towards this new wave that I've talked about. And for me, that's exciting. I mean, are you excited about that? I feel like everybody that's watching this video about extraction shooters should be extremely excited about that. You can let me know in the comments if you say, hey, this is stupid, that game sucks, ABI's economy sucks, whatever it may be. But I like to get a conversation going in the comments because I do love talking. I get through every single comment. I try to comment on every single one if they're like constructive or somebody wants to have a conversation. I've had people call me idiots, and that doesn't help anybody. So anyway, I do want to appreciate if you have been in this video for this long. I do very appreciate it. I have struggled with videos in the last like 3 weeks because just life and stuff like that. But I promise you the videos will start picking up. So anyway, guys, with that being said, I'm Jones. I'm out.